All right, it looks like we are back. I'm trying to log in myself to make sure that the video works. Apologies for the issues. We have a recurring issue that we are not able to pinpoint. We thought it was a software issue. We thought we fixed it, and I don't look like I'm buffering, so yay. Okay, I'm gonna let folks get in. Yeah, it's we haven't changed anything to the setup, like physically. The hardware works. It's just we go live and then the audio messes up, and we just restarted the computer. Is that all we did? Restarted the computer and then restarted Ecamm. That's it. And then it works again.
You did the method of
Unplug, replug. Yeah. So I think now part of the procedure is before we go live, we just turn everything off, turn everything back on. My God, is this a Windows computer? Is that what it is? Yeah, well, we're back. We're back. I think we agreed that we missed last week. That's what I was talking about. And then we are here. We're going to be here for a while. The next thing we're going to do is the Vegas drone meetup, which is, I think, early November. That's our last trip ever. As people are coming in, I'm gonna tell you that little story from this weekend. I was supposed to go to Philadelphia this weekend to go to an air show put on by Aviation Influence, which is a non-for-profit that I'm I'm a member of. And so got on the plane, get to Phoenix, got there early, waited for 2 hours for the plane. And then as I got to the plane, they were like, well, there's thunderstorms in the area, so we're going to wait because we don't want you in the plane when there's a thunderstorm. I said, okay, so we waited an extra hour. And then all of a sudden, they said, okay, let's go ahead and board. So we boarded. And then they're like, just kidding. There's a storm, so we can't deboard. We can't do anything. You got to stay in the airplane. So we were in the airplane for a while. And then it went on and on and on and on. And then the ramp was closed because there was lightning in the area. And then the pilot was like, well, we're going to wait. And then when they reopen the ramp, we're going to get catering in here to get you food. And then we are going to get the bags deboarded from the previous flight. That wasn't done yet. That was at least 3 hours into this whole ordeal. And then eventually they said, okay, we're good. We've got catering came in, took a while. They removed the bags from the other flight. And then they said, we're going to be ready to go very soon. And then a storm came in again. And then they were like, just kidding. And then now we actually are timed out. The pilots time out after a while. And so the pilots timed out. And they were like, well, we got to get you off the flight. And then we're going to find a new crew. And then eventually they just canceled the flight. So I got to the airport the flight was supposed to leave at 12 o'clock. I think I got to the airport at 10 o'clock, and then I left the airport at 5 p.m. So I spent almost 7 hours at the airport, and then went home and never went to Philadelphia. So I heard the event was great, and sad I missed it. But unfortunately, that's what happens. And then I learned on the way back that the entire airport basically shut down. I left very quickly. I could see the lines like piling up at customer service of every airline because every airline did the same thing. This was the biggest rainstorm that Phoenix has seen in the last 7 years. That's what I read online. Massive rain everywhere. I went to pick up my car at the parking spot, and some cars had water up to half the tire. It was just incredible. So, yeah, I got to sit in an airplane for a while. And for once, I was bringing my oldest kiddo with me to travel. He was all excited about being in a plane, and got to sit in the airplane for, I don't know, feels like 3 hours we were in the plane, I think. And then 3 hours.
Is he still excited? Is he excited for the next airplane?
No, well, he was so excited about taking off and all that. But yeah, so it sucks. But anyways, now that I told my story, I think we have more people that joined us. It looks like they found us. Again, apologies for the audio issue earlier, but yeah, we'll get it fixed. This is kind of a troubling issue. We thought it was an update thing, but yeah. Anyways, where are we at? It is Monday. You have, if you're new here, we answer all of your drone questions. You put them in the comments. Jason is going to review them. And then I'll answer them in here. Part 108 is around the corner, right? Part 108 NPRM comments are due Monday of next week. You have 7 days from today. I would recommend that you do it before that. I checked this morning, there were about 1,000 comments. Hopefully that number is going up. I actually have the page opened. No, I don't. That's another page. Oh, no, here. No. Nope, never mind. I don't have it open. Yeah, there were about 1,000 comments this morning. Far too few, but more than what we've seen before. So hopefully you guys leave your comments. We created a guide. Make sure you go watch the video. It's about 30 minutes long. It explains kind of what we're trying to do. We have over 300 companies, or close to 300 companies now that are backing our proposal. You can become a sponsor. We call it a sponsor for the proposal. I'm actually loading up the data right now to see the exact number. 313. So 313 people are backing our proposal at the moment as a company. So if you have a company, an LLC or whatever it is, small, big, whatever it is, you can fill out a form. All that information is available in the video that we made. You can tell us that you support what we do, and we'll add your name at the bottom of our proposal, which I'm going to submit on Friday. You can already see the proposal. It's not changing. All I'm doing is I'm adding everybody's name to that list if you want to be part of it. And yeah, I think that's it about Part 108, but go leave a comment. I understand we were talking in the office, Remote ID had 50,000 comments. We have 1,000 comments on Part 108 at the moment, which is not nearly enough. But I think a lot of the comments under Remote ID were from folks that were recreational pilots. I think recreational pilots have pretty much given up on trying to fly beyond visual line of sight under this proposal, is my guess, because there's so far of a gap to make it work that I think people are just like, what am I even going to suggest? Our proposal is trying to bridge that gap a little bit, but it's going to be difficult for recreational pilots. But for Part 107 pilots, if you ever want to fly beyond visual line of sight, at the moment you cannot, as it is currently designed. And so I would recommend that you comment on two things. There's only two things that you need to comment on at a bare minimum. One is that the FAA needs to continue allowing waivers for beyond visual line of sight under Part 107. And number two, you need to ask the FAA to make beyond visual line of sight flying non-autonomously, that's the best way to describe it, manually by using an actual controller, a possibility. At the moment, the only way to fly beyond visual line of sight under Part 108 is fully autonomous. And the FAA needs to, you don't have to tell them the solution. We came up with the solution. You can mention our comment if you want to, but the ability to fly beyond visual line of sight for low-risk missions non-autonomously needs to be an option in this document. That's it. That's really it. So in order to and I'll get to that question, Cloud Camper, in a second here. But yeah, that's basically, we need to be able to do this. How do you submit your comment? If you go to the link that we are going to put in, I think Jason is going to put in somewhere. Why am I super bright all of a sudden?
We were making an adjustment.
Okay. The way to submit the comment is to go ahead and go to regulations.gov, find the proposed regulation, BVLOS flying, and then to just follow the instructions in here. We have a little bit of a snippet that tells you how to do that, but please, please, please go ahead and do it. It's crucial. If you don't comment now, it's kind of like, not voting for the election and then coming back and complaining that the person that got elected is doing all these things. If you didn't vote, you can't complain. And it's going to be the same here. If you did not comment with the FAA, you can't come back and complain that the proposal is as it is, right? It just doesn't work. So that's all I'm going to say about Part 108. If you don't know about Part 108, please go watch the video. I can't do a short version of this here. It just takes too long. It's too complicated. We made two videos. One of them is a full explanation of what Part 108 proposal is, and the second one is a full explanation of our comment. We work with a coalition. We created a coalition. It's called the CCR. It's a coalition of commercial and recreational pilots. And we are hoping that our proposal will gain steam with the FAA. We're trying to, again, allow people to fly beyond visual line of sight manually, non-fully autonomous, in there. So Jason is putting the links. You can go watch these things. It's going to take you about an hour of your time to watch the full video explanation. It's going to take you about to watch the video explanation and the other video combined. It's about it's 2 30-minute videos, so about an hour. And probably will take you another hour to submit your comment if you want to craft it nicely. We actually created a document that shows you all of the bullet points that we're covering, that you should be covering in your comment as well. So yeah. All right, I'm going to shut up on part 108. Let's see. Let me get to the live Q&A questions here on my Slack, and let's go from there. And there might be questions from the previous conversation. I don't know. We'll see. Mike. Oh, and I didn't say hi. I didn't say hi to folks. I always do that. Let me do that again. I see a bunch of comments already. So James Cox is here. Lou, Alexander, Blankenship, Richard Hooker, Hike and Fly, Mountain Man, RJ Redding, Just Johnny 2012. Corey is here. We have Mark, Stella, Mr. Oobs. We have, who else? Mark H, Curtis Warren, Johnny. We have Engineer Drone Services. That's our friend Minot. We have Rick Horn. We have Gamer Jack, Dave DeVore, Rebellious Rainbow Unicorn. Rebellious Rainbow Unicorn, that's a cool name. Stinker 337. We have Mike Dressing, Jillian B, our own Jillian from the community. George C is here. Mark K. Who else? Bem is here. Mark Saxon, Todd Garcia, Flying Brian, Leo de la Garza. No, that's a different person. Leo de Cardenas is here. We have Magic Dragon Drones. Corey is here. Zero G. Zero G. I want to make an account that says 0F. These guys are chatting over there. Design Meffer. We have who else? Okay. I think that's it. I see the names. Thanks for joining. Let's get to the questions. First question from Mike Dressing. He says, I got a 97 on my UAG last November. I think you owe me at least a beer koozie or a ballpoint pen. You are all awesome. A ballpoint pen. I don't think we have ballpoint pen. I don't think we have beer koozies either. We do have shirts, though. You get a 97, so you get a free shirt. So make sure you submit the form at the end of the course. Gamer Jack says, so if you are on a mountain or a place where you are already 100 foot above the ground level, we'll get to that in a second. So does that change the limit 400 feet or does it stay the same? So keep in mind, if you're on a mountain at the top, let's put it this way. Wherever you are on Earth, you are at ground level. Okay? If you're sitting on top of a mountain, you are at 0 feet ground level. If you hike down to the bottom of the hill and you're at the bottom of the hill, you're at 0 feet above ground level. You are always at ground level wherever you are. Okay. So you might be 100 foot above the point where you took off from. That's different. But in this case, you would always be at ground level. So remember, 400 feet is measured from the distance. If you can measure the distance from the drone to the ground. So if the drone is right here and we measure from here to here, it's going to be 400 feet. Now, if I go over this microphone here, let's say that this is a structure, and I go right here, now 400 feet would be measured from the structure in itself. Well, that would be above the structure, but the ground is still here at 400 feet. So the ground is still right here. So whatever you do, you can never fly more than 400 feet above the ground. Now, if this was a mountain, and then now measuring 400 feet above the ground, it would be from the top of the mountain right here. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it's always wherever you are at ground level, and then you measure the distance based on the altitude between you and the ground, right on between the aircraft and the ground, right underneath the aircraft. Cloud camera. So let me add one more thing. So if you have rolling hills, right, and you're flying, you would be able to increase your altitude at the same time as you're following the ground, as long as you stay 400 feet above the ground. And then as you start to as the ground starts to descend, you also would have to have the aircraft descend at the same time. Cloud Camper says, so it looks like DJI is done doing business in the USA, not by choice. Yeah, well, let's give a quick update on what's going on with DJI. So DJI a while back announced that they will not have certain drones available in their website, primarily because these drones are getting stopped at customs by CBP, Custom Border Patrol, and they're not allowed to be they're not allowed to enter the country. And so that was strike number one, not allowing any drones in. Strike number two is the potential ban that's coming on future models that would be released in the United States. This is part of an NDAA bill that passed last year that said that if by December DJI is not audited by a government agency, then they would automatically fall under. They would automatically be listed as on the blacklist, if you want, by the FCC, and so any future models would not be able to be approved. So you can't buy drones right now because they're not allowed to be let into the country, and two, future models would not be allowed. Now, does that affect your current drone? No, it doesn't. You still be able to fly your current drone. If you find a drone somewhere else on the gray market, for example, and you'll be able to buy it and just fly it. People have flown the Mini 5 Pro, the Mavic 4 as well. These are drones that are not being sold directly in the United States, but they're still available in some places to fly. This week or last week, because this week is just Monday. Last week, how am I going to say that? A couple months ago, maybe even over a year ago, the DJI had sued the Pentagon because they were listed as a Chinese military company, or the Pentagon was calling them a Chinese military company. A judge basically came back and said that they will not rule in favor of DJI on this thing, basically saying that if the Pentagon want to say something, then they're basically allowed to say something, and there's nothing that can be done. So that's, if you read the final ruling, that's kind of what came out. So DJI could technically be considered now a Chinese military company. I don't know the implications of that from a legal perspective, but DJI is taking punches, a lot of punches right now, for sure. And yet there still hasn't been an audit that has been done on DJI to prove and bring up any of the things that they're being accused of. The other thing too that's interesting is an article came out this week talking about, or last week, I keep saying this week, last week talking about the fact that DJI has been creating these shell companies all over the country to sell drones under different brand names, which we had known that they were doing. That little yellow drone that we had that looks like a Mini 4 looked a whole lot like a DJI drone, and then as it turns out, it looks like it is a DJI sub company. So I think their strategy might be at one point to just flood the market with hundreds of different brands of, maybe not hundreds, but multiple different brands of drones that are not called DJI. You still get the DJI quality, and we continue to fly drones in the United States that are not available from anybody else, from any other manufacturer. So if that's the case, then I think it's a win for the industry. I hope that they can bring a Mavic model that's called a Magic model or Maverick. I don't care what you call it, as long as we get the technology and we continue to enjoy these beautiful drones. If they want to, not use those for government purposes, then fine, whatever. But let the average person fly those drones, since no other manufacturers seem interested in competing in that space. And essentially, if we have a full ban on these drones by December, then a lot of businesses will not be able to continue using the tool that they're using today. They will not have a replacement. Anyways, long answer to this short, but I know the DJI potential ban is a topic that comes up a lot, so I figured I would kind of do a long discussion on this. And but yeah, that's where we are at the moment on any and every bit of the DJI stuff going on. Like I said, if you have a DJI drone today, do not panic. Continue flying the drone. This has no effect on the drone that you are flying today. So if you have a Mavic 3, if you have a Mini 2, if you have an Air 2S, an Air 3S, whatever the model may be, continue flying that drone. It has nothing to do with the FAA, by the way. Any of these things, these potential bans have nothing to do with the FAA. So your registration is still good. I see comments about registration. You can continue flying it, okay? So just, yeah, that's where we are. Just don't crash it. Yes, thank you, Cloud Camper. It is difficult to find parts right now. But you know what? The Mini 5 Pro is still available from a bunch of places online that we've seen. And so some crafty people are finding a way to get these drones in the United States so they can sell them to you, which is good. Continue being crafty. Woo! And I've only answered 3 questions so far. Okay. Was wondering if there is, this is Duck Holiday, wait, where am I at? Was wondering if there are opportunities for drone pilots to help with security during the event, like the 2028 Olympics in LA. I don't know, actually. I don't know who's in charge of the security in LA, but you're going to have to create these relationships early if you want to be, considered to do those jobs in the future. Next question, Johnny Wishbone says, why do I suck at flying? That is a good question. Probably need more practice, maybe, I would say. What are you flying? What are you trying to do? And how are you learning? So many questions. This may be a stupid question. No such thing as a stupid question. If I buy the new Mavic 4 Pro, can I register it normally? Yes. Yes, you can. Flying Brian says, there is a FRIA near my house. A FRIA is a FAA recognized identification area. It's an area that does not require remote ID.
Is that the same thing as a FRIA?
It's close to a FRIA. The FRIA is much better because it's pronounced correctly, but Vic always gets on my case for saying FRIA, so I'm just going to say FRIA. Although Vic is not here, I haven't seen him, so. FRIA because the I stands for identification, just like GIF, where the G stands for graphical. So anyways, Flying Brian says, there is a FRIA near my house. On the FAA map, it says the FRIA has a 700-foot ceiling. Are they allowed to fly up to 700 foot? If so, can a drone with remote ID fly in the FRIA up to that altitude? So I'm guessing you're living next to an AMA FRIA. The AMA got special authorization from the FAA to fly up to 700 or 1,200 feet in some areas, primarily because they use aircraft that need to fly at higher elevation. With that being said, you can only fly there, and if you meet the requirements of that FRIA, so you have to go talk to them first. You have to be a member in order to fly in there with and follow these rules. You can't just fly from outside and fly in and go up to 700 feet. They're not going to be happy about that. Do you have any tutorials on Betaflight? No, I don't think we do. And if we do, they're pretty old. The person who was in charge of that part is no longer with us, so we haven't really done much with FPV stuff in a while. What advice do you have for new pilots who want to be cautious while being an RPIC, remote pilot in command, keeping an eye out for aircraft obstacle, afraid to fly over people, but also need to spread their wings? Yeah, I would say find areas at first to get more comfortable that don't have a whole lot of people. I know it's easy to say, depending on where you live, you may not have the ability to fly in an open field, or I would recommend just going to the country, wherever the nearest country type landscape is that you have, and then just fly over fields, where there is no one. That's going to give you the confidence to fly in busier areas. Another thing that you can do is bring somebody with you to be a visual observer. So if you're afraid of aircraft specifically or obstacles, then you can have a visual observer in a bunch of different places. that can help you with that. And then as far as flying over people, that's tough as well. As long as you have good visual line of sight with the aircraft, you should be able to also be able to tell who's nearby. Yep. Again, go from simple to complex, right? Go from an area that's pretty simple, not a whole lot of people, and then build up from there. Next, what are the circumstances that a person would need to have a 107 license? So it's very simple. You need a Part 107 certificate anytime you are flying for non-recreational purposes. It's really, that's it. That's the only answer. So the FAA thinks of recreational as just something literally for recreation purposes. You go out with your kid and you're just flying in the park, or you're flying and just for fun, okay? And I hate saying flying for fun, because people say, well, I'm flying, I'm making money, I'm having fun, I'm flying for fun. Well, no, that's not the case. Anytime there's money exchange, requires Part 107, but that's not the only thing. Anytime that you're doing something for somebody else, it's no longer recreational. If somebody approaches you and said, hey, would you be willing to take pictures for my wedding? And then can you do it for free? And if you, well, I'm not getting paid, I guess I don't need Part 107. It's not true. As long as you do something for somebody else, it's no longer recreational. So recreational is very limited in scope, okay? Very limited in scope. But yeah, the answer is anything non-recreational requires Part 107. And the reason for this, by the way, is very simple. The FAA created rules, the Part 107 rules. They apply to anyone and everyone who flies a drone. Period. Anyone and everyone who flies a drone must fly under Part 107. And then at one point, the FAA said, well, we're going to create an exemption. Or Congress said, we're going to create an exemption. For people that fly for fun, they don't need to follow all the rules under Part 107. For recreational purposes only, you don't need to follow Part 107. So it's an exemption from Part 107 rules, which means that anytime you're not flying for recreational purposes, you automatically fall under Part 107 rules, which means that you need a 107 certificate. Do you have to be Part 107 to register a drone with the FAA? No, actually. You can register. You have to register. Okay, so let's talk about registration. You have to register your drone if you fly recreationally, the rule I just mentioned, if the drone is over 0.55 pounds, which is 250 grams, or 249.4 grams, I think. Okay? So anytime you're over that, then you would need to register the drone with the FAA. The good thing is, recreationally, you would register yourself, kind of. You get one number that you put on all of your drones. So people like to think about it as a registration for the pilot. That's not really what it is. It's just one registration number. It's like having one license plate that you would put on all your cars if they were driven for fun. And then if you drove them not for fun, then or not for recreational purposes, you would need a license plate for all the cars you have. That's kind of the way to equate it. Donna says, where do we get ID labels for our drone? Oh, that would be on our website if you want to get them for free. pilotinstitute.com/free is how you do it.
For free?
For free. It is for free. I don't remember how many we've done now, but we were going to do 10,000. I think we've passed 50,000 now. For free. Jason can tell us. Well, somebody in the office over there can tell us. But yeah, it's a lot. We've done a lot. Why do American YouTubers have the Mini 5 Pro? Some of them have, very few of them. My guess is that they went out of the country to go get it and then came back in the country with the drone. But that's the only way to get that drone at the moment. Early, especially early. Donna says, where do we get remote ID tags for our drones? Right now, I'm using Pinterest. So it's not... Oh, that's the same question I just answered. It's not a remote ID tag, it's a registration label or registration sticker. Formerly Film Photography says, with so many countries having regulation about over 249 gram drones requiring certification, that non-citizen, is the Mini 5 Pro 252 gram weight serious? Potentially, yes. But with that said, I was reading an article on that. It looks like some countries have an allowance of so many % on the weight. And so it might fall under that limit. In the United States, you know, this weight gate, as I call it, it's the Mini 5 Pro weight gate. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I live in a different world. But the only thing that a sub 250 gram drone gives you in the United States is not registering it. But if you have any other drone, you're already registered anyway, recreationally. That's recreationally only. If you're a recreational pilot and that's your only drone, then that would be an issue because you would need to register a drone. It's $5. It's $5 for 3 years. Not that big of a deal. $5 for 3 years. And then you would just put the number on the drone and then you're good to go. The only other thing that I see is that you would need to broadcast remote ID. And I know that's painful because that drone doesn't necessarily broadcast remote ID. And so you need to put a module on top. So yes, I can see why that would be an issue. But otherwise, that's really it. It doesn't allow you to do anything different. Those drones still have to follow every single rule outside of those two that I just mentioned. So, yep. But there's no allowance in the United States for the weight limit. And so, yeah. Is DJI supplying parts for legacy drones? No, DJI never really supply parts. So if you wanted to get something fixed, you would have to go to DJI, send it to them, and then they would get it fixed. There are a couple places that fix drones for a living, but otherwise, no. Joachim says, are we required to have drone insurance as recreational drone flying? Nope. Even under Part 107, drone insurance is not required. Typically, it might be required by your customer. So if you do a job under Part 107, they might ask for a certificate of insurance. A lot of people do. So I would recommend that you have it, but recreationally, no. L Black Python says, I was looking at a Skydio drone. My question is, do I need to be an emergency agency to get one? The page have a couple of questions about that. I'm not sure, actually. I think they'll sell to anyone, really, that, you know, gives them money. So no, I don't think you definitely don't need to. No, you don't. You can just buy one if you want to. So yeah, no, should be fine. I'm guessing they're asking questions so they know what additional services to tag on to the thing, you know, additional options if you want. It's kind of like going to buy a certain vehicle and then you say, well, I'm going to be using it for that. Okay, well, you should add this option and this option and this option. Gamerjack YT says, what does it mean to fly over people? Very simple. The FAA says anytime any part of the drone is over any part of a human, it's flying over people. So if I have my hand extended and you fly over my hand, directly over it, then it's technically considered flying over people. Now, I would add to that there are some physics laws that you can't play against. So if the drone is moving forward and you lose your motors, or your battery or whatever, the drone is going to continue moving forward. It's called momentum. And then eventually it might hit someone. And up until it's right on top of them, you may not be over people, but eventually you will hit them, which means that you would have had been over people. And so keep that in mind. Being over people to me means over plus a cone of additional width to make sure that if something happens to my drone, I don't land on those people. Ray says, what is the maximum time to register a new drone over 250 grams with the FAA? Is the registration deadline based on the purchase date or the date it was delivered from purchase? Neither, actually. It's based on when you're going to fly it. Before you fly it, it has to be registered. So that's the simplest way. Before you take off, it's got to be registered. You could have it in the box for 6 months until you fly it. It doesn't have to be registered. Are there any upcoming drone shows or exhibits for the East Coast? No, the travel season is kind of... Oh, no, actually, I shouldn't say that. Drone Nerds is having a show in Miami middle to late October. So go check that out. It's Drone Nerds. The event is called, I don't remember what it's called, but you can go on their website. Drone Nerds is a reseller of equipment. Can I fly a Air 3S outside of the USA without new registration? It depends on where you're flying. So that's going to depend on the country where you're going to be flying. I don't know all the rules, but if you're outside the US, you have to look at that country's specific rules. I bought a Mavic 4 Pro and I have an enhanced transmission NA on my screen. Advanced transmission not available on my screen. I don't know what that means. I would recommend reaching out to DJI or go, if you're one of our students, go into the community. We have a couple other people that have bought some. See if they can help you with that. But I haven't seen that error message. We don't even own one of those. On SM today, what's SM? Social media. Social media today, I said a Nevada 2 with a duct cracked all the way through would be rendered unairworthy if just glued and then crashed because the antenna and structural integrity unreasonable. Well, that's your call. There's no airworthiness requirements for drones, so there's no let me take that back. I did not say that. There's no airworthiness certificate for drones, which means that what is unairworthy is up to you to decide. Okay. I mean, if the duct is cracked, to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's unairworthy. It's probably fixable. It's not a integral part. If you told me that the propeller is damaged, I would say, yeah, that's probably unairworthy, but this is not an integral part of the aircraft that if it's not there, it can still fly safely. So, yep. Dean says, let me mark this done. As I understand, remote control aircraft over 250 grams must also be registered. Yes, it is true. If so, can I use my registration number for my drone for the RC aircraft? If you are flying recreationally, then the answer is yes. If you're flying recreationally, you have one number that you put on all of your drones, and then you are good to go. Wow, that's all the questions. Did I miss any? Nope. Cool. All right, let me see what's going on in the chat. Yeah. If you have more questions, put them in the comments. We are going to answer them. So this week we are finishing our Part 108 comment that we're going to be submitting on Friday. On Friday, I'm also going to submit the coalition document. So if you want to be a sponsor, make sure you submit that form before Friday. And then, we'll submit all that stuff. Monday is the deadline, so make sure that you have all your stuff before Monday. That's very important. And, yeah, good stuff. What else can we talk about? I don't have my mug. I would pitch the mug right now, but I think it's in the kitchen, which is like 2 miles away from here. Well, by the time Jason hears this with the delay, you'll be there already.
Ask Jillian. She bragged about being the favorite Pilot Institute employee.
No,
I've never seen her bring you a drink.
she didn't brag that she was the favorite.
Oh,
She said
after she watched the playback of the
I said she was the favorite.
Yes, and she bragged about that to me in Slack. Wow.
Oh, she did. Good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Carl says, do you have a preferred IPA?
Wait, I wanted to know the answer to this.
I do have a preferred IPA.
What is it?
Well, I like all of them. There is this little brewery in... Oh, I need to find the name of it now.
Is it local?
No, it's in Florida.
Oh, what?
I think it's in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter. I'm going to make a fool of myself because... Yes, there you go. No, it is. It's called Civil Society Brewing Company in Jupiter, Florida. To me, they make some of the best handcrafted beer, and their juicy IPA is really, really, really good. So if you ever find yourself in Jupiter, then go there and get some. No, I like any kind of IPA, although I don't drink nearly as much beer as I used to. But yep, that's where I would go. I have 2 big fridges full of beer at home that I age. Oh yeah, look at that. What did Ben?
I was able to put like 5 more comments in the chat.
and still get it. And still get it. All right. Well, as we're letting more, and Ben is still gone. Oh, and he's bringing me another one. This is our mug, and if you want it, it is available for sale. It's a right-handed mug, and it's a left-handed mug, and it keeps the water really cold and it really warm for long, especially in this colder season. Now that it's getting colder outside, and it's 12 ounces, and I don't know what else to say about it, but it's cool, and it's got the beautiful Pilot Institute logo on it. Anyways, next, and we'll put a link somewhere in the description if you want to purchase it. We only have a few left, so they're going. Oh, Sparky's here. He's been on the road all day. On the road again.
Ask him if he saw last week's stream of the lava lamp.
Oh yeah, Sparky, did you see the stream of Lava Lamp last week? So Sparky, I was gone last week on a trip, another trip. That this one was not canceled, and he just wanted us to have the lava lamp on for an hour with no one sitting there, just live stream.
And we did.
And he missed. I bet you he missed it.
Oh, did he?
Anyways, Mr. Oobs says, you gotta be careful when you say that name. Do you know of the FAA drone zone approving waivers for flight over people with a drone without prop guards? Nope, they will not do that. They will not do that. So, well, okay, let me take that back. They will do that. I'm sorry. I was thinking of smaller drones that are sub 400 grams. So if the drone is over 400 grams, they will let you have a parachute. But I don't think prop guards are needed in that case. So yes, they will. I'm sorry. There was a caveat in there. Thoughts on flying from the shoulder of the road? I don't want to be that guy. I mean, I don't see an issue with that. Just be careful with yourself. Obviously, you know, if you're flying from the side of the road, to not be a distraction for others. Don't get hit. That would be my biggest fear. I would want to make sure that I'm in an area that is where I can pull over safely. Flying Brian says, follow up on the Freya question. Are you saying that if I don't belong to the local AMA, I can't fly in their Freya airspace? What I'm saying is that you can fly inside of that airspace if you want to, but in order to qualify for the 700-foot exemption that they have, you have to meet the requirements that are on that letter of authorization that they receive from the FAA. So you could fly up to 400 feet in that FRIA. They don't control the airspace. What I'm saying is that if you want to qualify for the 700-foot thing, you would need more than likely to be a member. I don't think they will let you fly in there up to 700 feet without it, which I think is BS, but it is what it is. Do you only want business as co-sponsor on your Part 108 documents? No, we actually had quite a few. I think there's about 20 people right now that are just individuals that put their name on there. When you get to the business name, just don't put anything, and then I'll put you in there as well as an individual. Water is terrible. Oh, IPA and beer in Florida sucks. No, that's not true. You obviously haven't tried civil society. Are Autel Robotics drones in the same boat as DJI? Yes, they are. They said they've moved their manufacturing to Vietnam and keep all their server in Texas. At the moment, it doesn't matter because Autel and DJI are both named specifically in the NDAA 2024 bill that requires an audit. So if they don't have an audit done by December 22nd, I think it is, it's December 20 something, then they will also be banned, just like, well, they will be put on the FCC list, just like Autel is. How how are you so thin? Being an IPA enjoyer. Uh, well, like I said, I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. And when I did, I would run 60 or 70 miles a week, so I could drink all the IPA that I wanted. I have seen many people selling their Atom 2 on eBay at a nice discount. Is there any problem with them? I haven't flown the Atom 2, so I cannot really tell you, unfortunately. Ooh, I see that Vic Moss is here. 23rd. Thank you, Vic. Welcome. You managed to be more late than Sparky. I love Sparky. He's my favorite. He's my favorite. Next, Steve says, I passed the Part 107 last week. Thanks for the informative course. You are very welcome. I registered my Air 3S Part 107. Can I fly recreationally with the 107 registration? Yes, that's a good question. Yes, you can. The funny thing is that the FAA has made this registration so damn complicated when it didn't need to be. And so what it does is it creates confusion like this one. So it's not your fault if you're confused or if you don't understand this thing, but the registration, there's only one type of registration. It's called a Part 47 registration. And so as long as you register the drone, it becomes a 47 registration. The only thing the FAA made complicated is they said, well, you need a 47 registration for each drone under 107 and for only one time if you're recreational. But it's all done under the same Code of Federal Regulation if you want. So, yeah. Davy Crockett says, if I purchase new DJI drones, what are the chances I can get spare parts and batteries? I mean, wherever you bought them. Who's laughing back there?
Did you mispronounce the name on purpose?
What did I say? Oh, I said Davy Crockett? It's Jason Crockett. It's his brother. Sorry, Jason. I don't know why I said Davy Crockett. That's funny. Anyways, I know. It was Amy laughing? Is that what I heard? If I purchase new to DJI. Okay, so batteries and spare parts. Batteries, you would probably be able to find them just like you found new DJI drones somewhere. Spare parts is definitely going to be harder, but I think spare parts have been difficult to find anyway. Although, with that being said, spare parts can be sold really by any manufacturer, any supplier. So I don't see how they would be able to stop a spare part from entering the country. So I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. What needs to happen and what might eventually happen, here's a prediction, a Greg prediction. If they manage to block DJI, drones will be available on the black market. There will be a black market. There's no doubt about it. There's already a gray market, and the line between gray and black is thin. There will be a black market for these drones because the reality is people are going to need to fly drones, and there is no replacement for those planned for at least the recreational and the commercial sector. With that, somebody is going to be able to purchase parts from DJI somewhere and sell these parts to people that are going to be making a living repairing drones on behalf of DJI, not on behalf of DJI, instead of DJI. We'll have businesses of crafty people that know how to fix drones that are just going to charge money to fix existing drones in the US. We will prevail. I have no doubt. So, yeah. Okay. Next. What is the best market to start a drone business in with the upcoming ban? I at the moment, even with a possible ban on the horizon, I don't know that I would use that to make a decision because, like I said, drones are going to be available to be purchased from one source or the other. And as such, just do something that you think is going to work from a business standpoint. It might be more difficult, but yeah, like I said, I think people will prevail. Anyways, Kenneth says, I have a Mini 2. If I want to fly at night, I am required to have a strobe light and remote ID. So where do you mount both? I would mount them on the battery, well, on top of the battery slot, basically. That's it. You could mount the remote ID module on one of the arms too, if you wanted, but I would definitely put the light on top. Mike Dressing says, I excel at landscape photography. Why does it always look like I am a roofing inspector when I shoot real estate? What does that mean?
I'm not sure either. Maybe just his pictures.
But he says he excels at landscape. Oh, at landscape photography. Okay. So he's good at landscape photography, but he's not so good at real estate photography. More than likely, the height at which you're doing those, either not high enough or too high, not being further enough from the house. Remember, the real estate photography is really designed to kind of put the house in context with the surrounding. Maybe it's in the middle of nowhere and you want to show that it's in the middle of nowhere. Or maybe it's close to a school, or it's close to businesses if it's a commercial business. So it's all about putting the property in perspective. So I don't think it's necessarily about the house itself, although it might be good to show a layout. But in which case I would go further away and maybe at a lower altitude to kind of show it more of like if you were a 50-foot tall person rather than if you were a 400-foot tall person. So that might be a matter of perspective. Maybe go further away, zoom in a little bit. Yeah, try different angles at different altitude. But I think one of the mistakes that we see people doing in photography in general with drones is just going too high. I think in some cases being lower is better. You just get that perspective that with the details still. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. Next is Heather, and we're going to be almost done here, folks. I'm interested in getting another drone that has better than 3x zoom other than the Mini 3. More than 3x is going to be the Mavic Pro, Mavic 3, Mavic 4 are going to have more than 3x if you're looking for non-digital zooms. M. Matthewson says, I'm traveling to Canada on vacation. I plan to get my Canadian RPAS license, remotely piloted aircraft certificate. I understand that what I need to do from Transport Canada. Has anyone at PI gotten certified in Canada? No, we have not. This is something that I looked at very, very early on when I started Part 107. I wanted to create courses for the Canadian market as well. And then quickly realized that, one, I didn't have the expertise, and I didn't want to do anything that I didn't have the expertise in. And then two, that they had a requirement to do the in-person training, and I wanted to do it, but it was very difficult at the time. I don't know if it's still the case today, for a non-Canadian company to do it. And so we never did. But no, I mean, I follow what they do in Canada because I think it's interesting, but I don't have the certificate. And last time I went to Canada was ages ago, maybe like 20 years ago. How much more complicated is the FAA registration going to get once they recognize alien aircraft?
No such thing.
Ben does not believe in aliens. We had a lengthy discussion at lunch the other day, and the day and months before. And anyways, I don't know how that's going to change, but please come soon. We need it. Of course, the government is going to require registration of alien aircraft. Psh, $5, 3 years. That's the moneymaker. Maybe we'll do $10 for aliens. Anyways, enough jokes. It's 5 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Again, apologies for the early scaboodle with the sound, but next week we're going to restart the computer right before we go live and see if that fixes it. And then if not, then we'll get a Windows machine. Just kidding. We won't. All right. See you next week. Fly safe. We'll be back on Friday. Go submit your comments. Part 108. Go watch the videos now. And then that's it. And we went this whole time without talking about DJI Wastegate for the Mini 5-ish. All right. See you next time.